Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Vicki Frazier-Williams, and on behalf of South Broward Alumni Chapter, thank you for joining us tonight for this Financial Empowerment Summit. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated places major emphasis on economic development as one of our 5-point thrusts, and tonight, we want to further that commitment to you and to our community to increase your knowledge of financial matters. Our theme tonight is very simple, and it is that we don't know what we don't know. So our purpose tonight is to educate, empower, and engage you around the topics of cryptocurrency, which as most of you probably already know is already the rage right now, and more traditional financial tools like real estate ownership and life insurance, strategies that can give you the financial peace of mind that we all treasure. Now, we only have 90 minutes to get this all in, so we're going to get started right away. We have 3 dynamic speakers tonight who will each take about 15 minutes to whet your appetite on their subject, with a follow-up 5 minutes or so for a question or 2. We'd like you to put your questions in the Q&A box for each speaker while they're presenting, so that those questions will be fresh on your minds and on theirs when they finish speaking. Let's begin tonight with Lakeisha Gaines. She is a Miami native and 4th generation graduate of Florida A&M University. She is a member of the Miami Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. After 10 years of leadership, promotions, and relocations, Lakeisha wanted more. She wanted to be her own boss, achieve independent financial freedom, and to give more back to her community, which I know she does. I am a living witness. So in 2006, this young lady became an agency owner of 2 State Farm offices. She has a team of 15 multilingual and licensed insurance and financial services professionals who are dedicated to protecting her clients' wealth. Tonight, she will enlighten all of us with information on home ownership, real estate, and mortgages. Lakeisha, you have it.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and like a great neighbor, Lakeisha Gaines is on tonight's Zoom call. It is an absolute honor for me to be here tonight. And I was very thankful when I got the call because I know that there's a lot of talent in South Florida. So to trust me tonight on the call with every single one of you, I consider a huge honor. I'm excited for two reasons. Number one, I know that time is one of the most precious commodities that we have. So for you to spend tonight with me, I don't take that lightly. But number two, as one of the top insurance and financial planners in the world for many years, I can tell you that I get a lot of questions about real estate, home mortgages, home ownership, and what to do with it. So tonight, I have one priority and one priority alone, and that's to talk to you about real estate and mortgages. So as I talk about that, I want you to understand and I want to convince you, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. As you see this first slide, which is don't wait to buy real estate and wait, you'll understand that you can reach me in two different places. You can reach me at my first office, next slide, which is in Miami. You can call me, you can email me, but more importantly, because of my relationship with Broward, you have my cell phone number. And my cell phone number is going to be on both slides if you decide to call me. And because of my relationship with Broward, you will not pay an application fee for any application with mortgages based on my relationship. And every mortgage that is done, I will make a donation to the nonprofit of the Broward Alumni chapter. Having said that, next slide. Let's talk about what I came to talk about. You see, 2/3 of most of our wealth is tied up into real estate. And as I encourage you to think about the history, only because I know that you cannot, without a vision, the people will perish. And also that I know that you can't know where you're going unless you know where you came from. February is Black History Month. Let's start talking about America's Black home ownership gap. 150 years ago, President Lincoln signed what's called the Lincoln's Field Order 15. And basically what happened was Union generals met with the top 20 African-American leaders and decided to provide stability for our communities. They reached an agreement that thousands of acres of land will be provided to us, and you know the rest. 2 weeks after Lincoln signed that, he was actually assassinated, which meant that all of the home that was provided to our community, each one of those people were actually vacated. They were actually evicted. They were actually foreclosed upon. So the first evidence of history that we have in the US of providing home ownership was Lincoln's Field Order. And because of his assassination, we were evicted as a people. But then 60 years later, here comes, after Andrew Johnson overturned it, here we come in 1934. You see, Franklin Delano Roosevelt came up with the New Deal. The goal behind this was to provide access to every American, to build financial security. But some of us know this story all too well if we talk to our parents, because redlining happened. And with redlining, each mortgage company said that if your neighborhood was within this red line, you would not be approved to get a mortgage on a home. Where you can guess where the red lines were, they were our communities. So again, another strike at African Americans being able to historically buy ownership. So now we get to 2022. Where are you? It's 2022. Where are you? Next slide. I'll tell you where we are. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. You see, there are 3 people in the audience. Next slide. And the 3 people that are in this audience today are my so what, now what kind of people. Number one, there are current people who have homeowners mortgages. And then there are those who have that are currently homeowners, but may not have mortgages, but they have debt. And then you also have folks who are thinking about, how do I buy a house? I'm not quite sure. I've heard a lot of people talking about buying a house, but exactly what do I do? You're curious, but not necessarily committed. Next slide. Let's start with that first group. Maybe you have a home, you have a mortgage, and you're trying to figure out exactly what to do. Well, what I will tell you is that in the last 12 to 18 months, If you have not refinanced and looked at your mortgage, I'll tell you what my 18-year-old son would say when he was 5 years old. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And he said that because within the last 12 to 18 months, mortgage rates have been as low as 1.89%. It's been the lowest in the history of mortgages, because when the Federal Reserve lowers the rates, it reduces the amount that the banks have to pay to borrow money from the Federal Reserve. They pass that savings to you. So all banks lowered their rates. And if you'd like to look and see how you can lower your rate, I would say to you that if your mortgage is 4% or higher, you should consider refinancing so that you can save money. Now, bank products, there's 8 to 30-year options. Gone are the days when it was 40 and 50 years, 20 years ago. Now you can do a mortgage for 8 years. You can do it for 22 years. You can do it for 19 years. There's a lot of flexibility to be able to get a mortgage that gets you to your price point. You also can close in 10 days. If you're refinancing a mortgage, gone are the days where you're waiting 60 days, and that's with no appraisal. The benefit of living in South Florida is when we own our home values and the equity in our homes have increased exponentially in the last 24 months. And as your homes have increased in worth, should you have that mortgage you can refinance without an appraisal because you don't owe as much as the value of the home. What I want you to remember, if you are a current homeowner with a mortgage with a rate that is over 4%, the application is free, but the choice is sold separately. And this is a way for you to be able to reduce the debt on your home and pay it off quicker. The last thing I'll share with you on this slide before we move is one of the things that you want to look at as a current homeowner is to make sure that your home mortgage does not have what's called a prepayment penalty. What that basically means is that you can send as much money as you'd like to that mortgage company, but if it has a prepayment penalty, you're going to not be able to pay the mortgage off without paying a fee. So application is free. The choice is sold separately. That's my summary for current homeowners who have mortgages that are above 4%. Next slide. So maybe you own your home and you have some credit card debt, or you have some debt and you're thinking, how do I get out of this? Well, you're not alone, because US credit card debt is at $930 billion today. South Florida, the average debt to income rate is 163%. What that basically means is if my husband and I are living at home and we make a salary of $1,000 a month, we are basically spending $1,630 in our debt to income. We're overspending. So it's 163% of whatever the income is, which is the average in South Florida. But finally, the average credit card debt for South Florida is $33,000. Think to yourself, how much credit card debt do I have? And if you have more than $10,000, I want you to hear what I'm about to say. If you have more than $33,000, which is the average credit card debt, I also want you to give me a call. But here's what I want you to know about this. There's good debt and there's bad debt, as the slide has to the left. And good debt is a mortgage which is tax deductible, which gives you the real estate taxes. So anytime you have good debt that can be written off, anytime you have good debt that is an appreciable asset like your home, that's considered good debt. However, bad debt, which is in the form of credit cards, anything that does not have an appreciating value or deductibility or flexibility in payoff is considered bad debt. And if you have bad debt, one of the things that have been used quite frequently in the last 15 years is using your mortgage to pay off that debt. So for my mathematicians who are on the call, who are wondering, well, wait a second, why would I use credit cards? Why would I pay off my credit cards with my mortgage? Well, it goes back to a couple of different principles. Number one, if your credit card debt and the interest rate is above 10%, and you can get a mortgage at 2%, and your credit card debt has compounding interest, but your mortgage allows you to pay it off quicker, Meaning, and I'll give you a free nugget here, you have a 30-year mortgage, you pay one extra payment per year, you reduce it to 23 years. You have a 20-year mortgage, you pay one extra payment, you reduce it to 11 years. You have now taken that credit card debt, which you were one check away from bankruptcy with, to now using your home as a wealth management tool. So you want to use your home as a way to reduce and eliminate any bad debt that you have. The third group of people, if you're a current homeowner, next slide, if you're a current homeowner with a mortgage of 4% or above, or you're a current homeowner and you actually have credit card debt that is above 10,000, average 33,000 for South Florida, you might be a prospective homeowner, which is group number 3. Maybe you're wondering, as I look around South Florida, so many people are buying homes. I'd like to buy a home. How do I get into this market? And I know that you want to do it with someone that you trust. I know you want to understand the process. Here's what I will tell you. Number one, the minimum score to purchase a home now is 580. So if you were waiting until your credit score got to 720, 800, 815, wait no more. Do not wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait, because you can do it with a credit score of 580. And many of you may know there are 3 different credit bureaus. There's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. 580 is your credit score. You can now buy a home if you're employed, retired, self-employed. Every single one of you are eligible. Gone are the days where you have to have a W-2. You can have a 1099. You can be retired. You can buy a second home. You can buy an investment home. You can buy an investment property. All of these are eligible, and banks are wanting to get your business. The home buying timeline with the A-paper banks, which are the banks that are most solid, are an average of 60 days. And with those 60 days, the average loan can go up to as much as $2 million. So yes, 580 with a credit score. Yes, self-employed. Yes, you can close too with 60 days to purchase a home up to $2 million. Because at the end of the day, the banks are going to look to see what is your payoff capacity. They're going to look to see what is your story. And when you work with a mortgage loan originator like myself, instead of submitting an application, what we want to do is find out what has been your history. What are you trying to accomplish? How will you use the home? So that we can tell your story with the application and help you to purchase your first home or your second home. Next slide. At the end of the day, it's about one very important thing. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. Next slide. So one of the things I wanted to do, I've given you a lot of do's and don'ts, but I wanted to give everyone something before I wrap this up. And that is, at a minimum, the first thing I want you to do that is critical for everyone, whether you're buying real estate or not, is to review your credit report and your credit score. You owe it to yourself. You're in the state of Florida. We are #1 in fraud and a lot of things. So if you're thinking that your credit score and your credit report are accurate, I want you to take a moment to make sure that you obtain that score at least once every 2 years. Obtain a copy of your credit report once every 2 years. Secondly, as you get ready to get that retirement home, as you get ready to buy that investment property, as you get ready to buy your first home, as you get ready to refinance, you owe it to yourself to look at your debt to income ratio. Simply put, debt to income ratio is what is your income for the month compared to the amount of debt that is reported on your credit report. Not all of your debt, just what's reported on your credit report. For example, if your salary, same example before, is $1,000, but you have credit cards that equal to $630, they use the minimum payments. In that particular example, your debt to income ratio is 63%, because $630 of your $1,000 is your debt to income ratio. And then finally, if you've heard what we've talked about as it relates to looking at real estate and looking at mortgages and whether or not you should refinance, what I'll tell you is to know your home's worth. One of the things that people do not know is there's 2 types of appraisals. There are desktop appraisals and there are in-person appraisals. desktop appraisals are exactly what you see on Zillow. So when you put in your address and you go to Zillow, you go to Redfin, you go to many of those places, they do electronic desktop appraisals that save you money. You don't end up having to pay for it. And now they have the value of your home. And as long as you stick to certain percentages, you don't have to have your home appraised in order to qualify for it, because you're buying it for an amount that may be 50%, 60% of whatever the value is. Now, I know I've taken about 20 years of information. I've shrunk it all down to about 9 minutes. I know. So you're saying, wait a second, I got some of it, but I have some more questions. And I know you do. I do too. Next slide. So what I will recommend to you, and I know we're going to open it up to questions, is here is my cell phone number. I'll ask you to also give me a call personally at 305-609-0858. It is super important that you tell me you met me through Broward Alumnae, because if you tell me that, I'll make sure that your application is free, and I'll make sure to give the donation back to my sorors, because you're the reason why I got your call. But at the end of the day, if you can go to the next item, which will be back to me on screen, it comes down to 3 very important things as I wrap up. And the 3 very important things that I want you to remember is that you owe it to yourself to review what you have. And when you review it, what you have, 3 things are going to happen. Number 1, you're going to be convinced that what you have is what you needed and you won't make any changes. And that's great news, because you did a great job at the choices that you made. Or number 2, you'll update what you have from a real estate standpoint. You'll update the mortgage that you have. And guess what? That's still great news. It's still a great decision. Or finally, you'll set an appointment to review everything, and you'll talk with me, and you'll redo everything that you have with your mortgage. And that's okay, because that's still great news. And that's still a great decision. So regardless, a review is always great news. It's always a great decision. And that's what I want you to understand tonight. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family. And more importantly, you owe it to your children's children. Vicki?
Awesome. Powerful information. And I knew you'd get questions. We've got a few. So I'm going to try to run through them, and you try to run through them really quickly. One of the first ones, I am a homeowner, and I'm interested in using the equity in my home to improve the home, and 2, getting an investment property. Is there a preferred order to accomplish both?
It all comes down to the math, and that is an excellent question. What I would recommend you do is to contact myself or contact another mortgage professional that you trust, and ask them to look at the numbers before they submit the application, because it goes back to what I talked about earlier with what is your story. The last thing you should have a person do is to submit an application that's an automatic declination, because they didn't explain your story. They didn't explain that you had equity. They didn't explain that your intent was to get an investment property. They looked at the application and thought that it was all about refinancing your current home. So I would suggest that you set up a time, sit down with a licensed professional, make sure that you trust them, and make sure that they tell your story to the underwriters before you make a decision.
Absolutely. Great advice. Let me get in another one. Would you recommend to refinance your home to get monies to purchase land or another home?
Absolutely. The 2 largest purchases that you will ever make, and I'm so happy my soror Cassandra Joseph is on the back end. The 2 largest purchases that you will ever make is to purchase your home and retirement. So when you purchase your home and you refinance your home to get monies, you're using the wealth that you have to create more wealth, and then you can pass it to your children. So yes, I recommend that you refinance your home, because you have the equity there. And South Florida is best positioned to do it, because if you, and I'll always remember the advice my grandfather told me, Keisha, when you get a house, your first house in South Florida, do not sell it. I got my first house. It was in Miramar. State Farm at the time, when I graduated from college, relocated me to Bloomington, Illinois. It was a part of the package where they bought the house and gave me a bonus. Well, I thought that I was so smart. I let them buy the house and sell it, and I made my 3% bonus on $100,000, and I thought I was rich with $3,000. That same house in West Miramar today is worth $750,000. So yes, buy real estate, refinance it, get the money, purchase land, and pass it to your children's children.
You said a mouthful. There are more questions for you, which I've got to move to my next speaker, but we may be able to double back. Bottom line, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. That's so powerful. Thank you so much, Lakeisha. Look, our next speaker is Mr. Sidney Lloyd, who is standing in for his business associate, Rodney Burton, who's out of the country. And because of some connectivity problems, will not be with us tonight, but we are in great hands, though, with Sidney, who has been in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency arena for several years and is highly qualified to help us understand why crypto, why now. He is going to tell us his story, which is fascinating in and of itself. Without further ado, Sidney.
Hey, I want to thank you all for inviting me to come and be a part of this wonderful group of individuals that are definitely looking at ways to empower themselves financially. I would like to thank your organization that invited me here. And first and foremost, I want to say this: you all are in the right place at the right time. This point in time right now, when we have the birth of a new financial system that many of you might not know what it's about. Many of you have heard about Bitcoin. I guess you ask yourself, what makes Bitcoin valuable? Is it like gold or is it like fiat currency? When I say fiat currency, I'm talking about government-controlled money that is issued by a central bank, be it euro, be it yang, be it yen, be it all the forms of money that are out there, British pounds, so forth and so on, including the dollar. I'm going to get to the meat of this conversation, but I want to tell you a little bit about my history. And how I am at this particular point in my life, after being in crypto for over 5 years, where it has brought me to. And it started back about 5 years ago, sitting around a lunch table. But a little bit about my background: I was in construction. I was an electrical contractor for years, worked all over the world. Matter of fact, you're talking to somebody who's actually turned on the lights at the Statue of Liberty, not once, twice, but 3 times. I do have some legacy. And I've done these things in a lot of capacities, major stuff, the nuclear power, in all these areas of major industrial electrical industry. But over time, in this particular field, in construction, it wore me out. Unfortunately, I got injured on the job, and it took me out. And like many of us, I'm 62 now. I've been retired for some time now. I've been retired since I was 49 because I worked hard all my life. Body was just worn out. And I knew at that time when I went through that transformation, I had to do something different. I had to remake myself because the options weren't that well. I mean, I could have probably been somebody to answer the phone and tell you about a part on your car or electrical part. It didn't sit well with me. But what I decided to do was find out more about marketing. That's where I started. I saw these people making all kind of money online. I said I wanted to try that out. But in that journey, a friend of mine, really before I got injured, he said, "Sid, let me tell you about this thing called Bitcoin." His son had went to Cal Poly, and by the way, William's dead now, but he left me with some good wisdom. And one of the things he shared with me was cryptocurrency. I had never heard of it. He said, "It's Bitcoin." I said, "Is it something you hold in your hand? What is it? I mean, what is this thing, this Bitcoin thing?" And he said, "Sid, it's going to be the money of the future." He said, "This is what your grandchildren will be using. And the sooner you get involved, the opportunity is now to really make money in it." He says, "I'm telling you, I believe this year," and this was 2016, around October, going into November. Interesting, that's a really interesting time. He told me about it. Well, like most people, I'm still trying to figure it out, investigate, do my own homework, don't know what this stuff is about, right? And so inevitably, I actually did something that I thought was, I took a chance, all right? I said to myself, let me just find out what this thing really is, what is it doing, how does it work? But I did the worst thing, and I do what a lot of us do. We get good things into our lives, and what do? We sit on them. Procrastination is a thief of time. And it was almost 2-3 months later, he comes back and says, "Hey, I bought the Bitcoin back when it was $400. I bought like 6 of them." He says, "Right now, they're almost worth $800. So in a 3-month time, they doubled." And that kind of sparked my interest. But again, I did the same thing. I procrastinated, I waited. And I just said to myself, I don't know what this is. This might be a scam, right? That four-letter word everybody's afraid of, scam. And I said, well, let me think about it. And there I go again. The king of procrastination strikes again, right? So what happened next was he came and called me and said, Sid, listen, it's up to $900 if you ever wanted to make at least $3,000 to $4,000 in 1 year. Okay. And this was going into March. He said, you need to take a look at this stuff. So I did. I said, you know what? I'm going to take a chance. I had a little bit of silver saved up. And of course, I had a little money in a money market account that was looking dried up and it wasn't doing nothing but gathering dust. I said, well, why not? Why don't I just put it in crypto? So I went ahead and bought some Bitcoins. I'll just put it like that, and some other kind of coins, but primarily this one right here, this Bitcoin. And this is, mind you, this is just a artist conception rendering of what it could look like. This is not a physical object, okay? It's not a physical object, but this is what they frame it at, so we can have a reference of some point of value in understanding of what this is. But right now, Bitcoin is changing the world. I made a purchase of those Bitcoins back then. And here's what happened. That was a phenomenal year. That was the year, 2017, that Bitcoin went from, when I made my purchases after procrastinating, right? $978 is what I bought for the Bitcoins. That year, Bitcoin went all the way to $20,000. Unbelievable. Just never saw it coming, right? Went all the way to 20,000. People were jumping in. And it was like FOMO. The word FOMO means fear of missing out. People were jumping in, spending money, selling their houses, doing all this amazingly erratic thing. And then the market does what always market does. And what we know in life, what goes up, right, must come down. And that's what kind of threw everything off for people and for the Bitcoin industry. But there was some amazing things that happened during that time. A lot of millionaires were created. But when the market went down, watch this, it went from 20,000 in 3 months all the way down to about 4,000. Everybody sold. Guess who didn't sell? Me. I didn't sell. Why is that? I hit my target. Remember, my friend William, rest his soul, he's not alive anymore. He said to me, he says, it's going to get to about $3,000 or $4,000. So he got there and I was happy. Okay, I would have wished I could have understood the dynamics of what I had. And maybe when it was at 20,000, I could have sold, right? And bought back in at 3,000 and really took that 978 to the next level. Okay, but I did not do that. I didn't understand the dynamics of even how to do that. I had no mentors, okay? And during that course of time, I got scammed. I got taken advantage of. And I submit to you at this time that these things do happen, but it was a learning experience. I often tell people, you know, I didn't lose money at that time. I was really paying my tuition. And because of those experiences, today, people seek me out all over the world. I'm considered basically a crypto analyst when it comes down to this technology because I've been submerged in it, you know, and it's been so profitable to me. Right now, those very coins, right now, as we speak, are worth that $978 investment I made in those currencies. They're worth now around about $37,000 each. Incredible. In 5 years. 3 months ago, back in late November, Bitcoin was at its highest point ever, 65,000. And then the market corrected again. This is what it does. It's very volatile. And you gotta have belly to be in here with it now. And people say, well, you know, Sydney, I can't afford to buy a crypto coin at 37,000 even, not even 20,000. And I tell them simply this, always remember, $1 million starts with what? 1 penny. That's why I pick up pennies everywhere I go, right? I pick them up because I think the universe is saying, hey, this you want to be a millionaire, get this penny because this is the route to get to that millionaire, okay? And I always thought about that. See, you don't have to own a whole Bitcoin to have value. And I want to really frame that for you. How many of you all have ever washed your clothes, your jeans or whatever, and had maybe a $20 bill in the pocket? You knew it was there in your mind, but you kind of forgot about it. You scooped up all the clothes, washed them. And then when you wash those clothes and you dry them out, you start pulling the clothes out, getting the lint out the way, and you see that $20. It's like you hit the lotto, right? But with Bitcoin, it's like this. You go into the clothes, you pull out, you know you put $20 in, but when you pull out, it's like $200. It's just that way. Why is that? when we know that $20 bill, it says $20 on there, right? It says $20. We know that's all it's going to ever be. But when you buy crypto, a $20 worth of Bitcoin, right? Tomorrow it might be worth $50. Are you starting to grasp the value there? But the question is, what makes this cryptocurrency valuable? What makes it that way? It's not, I'm gonna tell you this, there's no CEO company, there's no CEO of Bitcoin, there's no company called Bitcoin, okay? It's not made by any central banking system. It's powered by the people. That's what makes it so unique. Another thing that makes it unique is its scarcity. There's only going to ever be 21 million Bitcoin, and the new concept of the 1% and the elitists will be based upon those who own Bitcoin. Trust me when I say this. The multimillionaires are gathering around, buying it up, snatching it up. And right now, the market looks kind of low. I'm looking at it over here. But the fact of the matter is, it's going to be just a moment before it shoots back up, because the big major players, like a Warren Buffett, who just spent $1 billion in purchasing a company that controls assets over $1 billion in Bitcoin. He sold his Visa MasterCard stock to buy this. What does that tell you? Follow where the money goes, I always say. My goal is to be crypto rich. My goal is to show you how to become crypto rich. Why not? This is the money that is not the future of money. In that aspect, it is the right now money. Talk about real estate. The young lady just came on not long ago, gave a wonderful, I'm going to call her, okay? I got some questions, but I know this, and I'm going to share with her. You have opportunities right now to buy real estate in the crypto space called metaverse. How many of you all know that Facebook just changed their name to Meta? That's huge. They see it coming. The metaverse is going to be a whole new reality. Let me tell you something. When we first started the experience of understanding what internet was, first thing we had was the internet of information. And this is where we were able to find Google and find out all the answers in the world that we know now, right? Our kids growing up with this stuff was amazing. We never had access. I was lucky. We were hot shots in the neighborhood because we had a set of encyclopedias, right? When I grew up, right? Now we're walking around with supercomputers in the hand, more power than it did when they landed Apollo 13 on the moon. Access to information. We are in the digital age. I grew up, like many of you all here, maybe, in the industrial age, when men worked with their hands and their back. I was a professional electrician, paid well. I gave up a lot of time in my life to learn some other skills that were okay, but they didn't make me rich. I didn't get rich until the last 3 or 4 years of my life. I'm still in that track. This year is going to be an amazing year for me. God, I tell you. Right now, I'm going a lot of different places because I'm sharing a lot of things because I know my time is constricted, but I will tell you this. There's also something you need to know. Every day, and this is told to me by my mentor, who, by the way, who makes over $200,000 a day in crypto, okay? He said, Sydney, he says, do you know that conservatively, 800 new millionaires are created every single day in cryptocurrency? Did you know that? And then he ended it like this. He says, why not you? Why not me? And I said, you know what? Why not me? I learned this information about crypto, and I'm making it my heart's desire to share with anybody who's listening who want to know more about it, because every day you're going to hear more about it. Right now, you can take Bitcoin right now, and you can buy things that, well, it won't be long before Walmart, because Walmart just put 200 machines in some of their most prominent stores. They're getting ready to launch their own cryptocurrency. Walmart, where you shop, okay? Let me just keep it 100. You can use it in Starbucks. You can use it at Overstock. You can buy, my partner bought a Lamborghini with Bitcoin. He's bought apartment complexes negotiating with Bitcoin. He bought his yacht with Bitcoin. Oh yes, it is fungible, it is usable. I have a debit card right now that lets me spend up to $50,000 a day because I'm with crypto. I'm a part of a membership program. Maybe you all can call me, we can get together, I can tell you a little bit how that works for you. But my point in this conversation of talking about cryptocurrency, I want you to know, when you talk about generational wealth, generationally, your wealth is starting right now in cryptocurrency. Sure, you want the real estate. Sure, you want all the different things that we have grew up with. But I submit to you, we now have an alternative view. A new financial system has been created right in our lifetime. You know, we weren't around when the Chinese, well, let's take it back, when gold 6,000 years ago was considered a store of value. We weren't around. We weren't around in the 1600s when the Chinese created paper money. During that time, the colonial and the great in the Americas at the time, people were walking around with little pouches with coins, gold, silver coins, copper coins, bronze coins that had value, okay? We weren't around when the stock market was created, even though a lot of our forefathers were bought and sold there. But now here we are in the digital age. We went through the agrarian age, we went through the industrial age, and now we're in the digital age where everything happens online. And the actual concept of the internet is changing. First, we had the internet of information. I started to tell you about that. Then we had the internet of entertainment. This is where YouTube came along and Facebook, the social media pieces. And now we're going into Web 3.0 right before your eyes. All your technology is getting ready to revolve around that. And you're going to be into an entire new experience of being able to come together. We won't be doing Zoom. We'll still do Zooms, but we'll be going into what we call the metaverse. It's a whole nother level of communication, of interaction. You'll be able to start businesses in the metaverse, buy real estate in the business. I'm getting ready to close on a major deal right now in this area, right not too far around the corner from Sony. Matter of fact, 2 blocks over is a JP Morgan bank who just signed on yesterday, who bought real estate in this particular place that I'm buying it in for $3.5 million, real cheap price per acre in this new reality. Why are they doing that? Remember, always follow the money. Right? All the money.
You know, Sid, if you don't mind me jumping in there.
One more thing. Okay. I want to say real quick, you want to get involved with crypto and you want to make sure that your family knows about it. I'm sorry, Vic, I just wanted to say that. You have a question?
No, it's okay. Yeah, you know, I think there are so many questions and thoughts about crypto. What I do want to take a question here is, how does someone invest in cryptocurrency, but more importantly, how does someone cash out?
Wonderful questions. Always get that question, right? Okay, so let me tell you a little something about crypto. You can buy it. How many of you all got Cash App? You can buy it right through Cash App, okay? I had a group I started with, right? I called it the Black Secret Savings Society. They're doing wonderful. And I had them buying $5 worth of crypto every week. Just buy $5, right? That started in July of 2019. By the time we got to around November, oh my goodness, they had a Christmas they'll never forget, because a lot of them buying $5 a week, that's $20 a month. Crypto went up so fast, they had thousands of dollars. They follow me to this day on Telegram. And I show people how to do that. You can go to Cash App and buy you some Bitcoin. You can go to what is it called? It'll come to me. There's several. Crypto.com is real popular. You've probably seen it in the Super Bowl. There's quite a few. Give me a call. I'll tell you all about them. I'll help you get started if you want to. Help you get set up with your digital wallet. If you carry a phone, you can carry your crypto. How many of you all seen the people just wave their phone over the little thing now? How many of y'all seen that? They're not even touching it anymore. They're not even sticking their debit card anymore. They're tapping the debit card, they're waving their phone over. If you're watching it now, this is the wave. This is where it's going. This is where your children are going to definitely be. And if you want to see your picture above the fireplace, okay, in time to come, it's because you would have made good decisions getting crypto now while it's unregulated, where we're in a market where there's immense opportunity for you and your family. Build the generational wealth now. Plant the seeds so the tree will continue to feed you, your generations coming, because this is the world they're going to live in.
Okay, Sid, before I move on, I do have several more questions actually. So I want you to try to get them, but you know, tighter. Thank you for the great info. What are your thoughts on companies offering mortgages to buy assets / land in the metaverse? For example, TerraZero Technologies.
Well, I believe this is going to be the next frontier, especially in the area of realty. Okay, the realtors are going to come. And the opportunity is wide open. There's going to be so much opportunity, and the values are already going through the roof. Like I said, I'm closing the deal now. I did not even see this coming. God has been good to me. This is really something really special, but I was with the right people, okay? And my intentions is like you and like all the individuals here. Why not be crypto rich? It's so easy. I mean, this is the easiest, best money I've ever made. And I'm just a C average kind of guy. I'm not the smartest guy, but I've seemed to make some right moves. And I think one of it all started when I really started trying to be caretaking for my mother. Floodgates came open, blessings started happening when I made that move. And I tell you, I was able to buy into this real estate deal in the crypto space, which looks like it's going to be phenomenal. Matter of fact, I plan on starting the first Black museum in the crypto space to be the first of its kind. Okay, but there's immense opportunity for anyone who has any kind of business of any sort to open up in this. And now you got the world as your customer base, not just geographically where you're located. And all these businesses are going to continue every day. Sony, JP Morgan, banks are now coming to it because they know this is where the reality is coming. Walmart's there. There's so many that are still in transition to this very moment. And you all don't want to mince that. You already hear about NFTs, for example, non-fungible tokens. That's a big piece among artists. You can buy these things now, okay? And take
Sid,
go ahead.
Do you have to pay taxes on the Bitcoins you have?
What a good question. Here we are right now. We can't even right now. The IRS needs 25,000 people right now to come to work for them. Biden can't even get the one thing they're trying to get through Congress right now, which has a little crypto component, all right? They can't even get that in. So where we are, can you imagine when Enron collapsed and the concept of what they call insider trading wasn't even a law prior to that? Think about that. So that was in the 80s. So from the 80s to the 1900s, when the stock market, they had that, I got the hot tip, inside trading was going on forever, right? Before this law was put into place that it made it illegal. Even though they still do it, even parts of Congress still do it, they get away with it, right? We've seen that over the pandemic time, right? So we're at a point now where we're not even exposed. They can't find a way to tax it because they don't even understand it yet. Why? Because they can't control it. Crypto cannot be controlled. Bitcoin cannot be controlled because it's not printed by a central bank or by a government. And that's why it's sweeping the world. It's the people's money. You all deserve it. Every one of our people need to get in here, because if you miss this, if we miss this as a people, it is bad news for your grandchildren and your children's children, because they're going to need it. And they're going to say to you, why didn't you get into it when you first started?
Well, I'm sure a lot of us are thinking that already, right? Wish we had gotten in before, but look, Sid, I want to thank you so much for this. We have more questions. However, we also have one more speaker. We will be doing this again, and you stick around, because if we have some time at the end, we're going to get right back into it.
By all means.
I appreciate you. And look, before we bring up, though, our next speaker, I really would like to acknowledge and bring on right now our awesome SORA president, Shawanda Richardson, so she can say a hello to all of you who are on with us. SORA president. I hope I didn't call her too soon. I know that you all got a lot out of that. I certainly hope that you're writing notes and putting questions in. We're going to make sure that you can get to everybody that you are seeing and hearing on this summit. I'm going to skip right to, I'll bring SAR President on at the end. So next up is Cassandra Joseph. She is a member and past president of South Broward Alumnae. She is a retired FBI special agent and owner of Guide Right Services. She is also a licensed real estate broker associate and is licensed as a life and health insurance agent in 24 states. Tonight, Cassandra will provide us with information on how to create wealth with life insurance and how others have already done it. She'll also share some little known benefits, living benefits of how life insurance can help you while you are living. Cassandra.
Thank you, Sora Frazier, and good evening to everyone. My goal through my presentation is to assist you in taking a different look at life insurance, looking at it from a different mindset. So we all know what a typical life insurance policy does. Somebody gets a policy, say for $50,000, they pay their monthly premium. They designate someone to get the money of that policy when they pass away. So that beneficiary will get a tax-free windfall. So the first question I have for my audience, can you be the beneficiary of your own life insurance policy without dying? I'll repeat that one more time. Can you be the beneficiary of your very own life insurance policy without dying? I'm going to come back to that question in a second. I do have a real estate license and had one for many, many years, and I attend a lot of real estate workshops. And at one particular workshop, I met a young lady, and she told me she had 39 life insurance policies. Yes, I said it, 39. And I said, why is there such a need for you to have so many life insurance policies? And she said, Cassandra, this is the best kept secret in the United States tax code. She told me that she pulls money in and out of her life insurance policies at will, penalty-free and tax-free, and she buys real estate. The light bulb went on for me, and I immediately went out and started studying for my life insurance license because I could see how I could marry the two together and help other people do what she was doing. Life insurance, how you can take money out and in at will, tax-free. How many of you can do that with a 401k? How many of you can do that with a CD or an IRA? So some people are saying, yeah, right, life insurance, really? What's in it for me? Well, let me just say, we are living in a very volatile world and in uncertain times. So you're going to need to focus on the kind of investments that give you really four things. They give you control, they give you options, they give you flexibility and certainty. Does the stock market give you control? Absolutely not. Does it give you options? Most of you invest in the stock market through your 401ks and your pension plans, but you don't make those decisions. Yeah, the stock market gives you flexibility, all right. It flexes its ability to take your money at will. Today, the stock market dropped 482 points. A couple of days, I saw it go down 600 and some odd points. I don't think do people really understand what that means? I have seen grown men sit at their desk and cry because they lost $150,000 in a day. Do you know how long it will take them to make up that loss that the stock market has taken away from them? So again, we need to focus on investments that give us control, options, flexibility, certainty. You need investments that remove the stock market risk and that remove the tax risks. You need a vehicle that gives you a guarantee that you can make all of your money tax-free. Everyone in this Zoom should consider taking advantage of the single biggest benefit in the United States tax code, and that is the tax exemption for life insurance. Now I'm going to veer off a little bit. My father is elderly and he's in New Jersey, and I'm going back and forth on a regular basis to take care of him. And as I was going through some of his papers, I came across this. And you're probably saying, well, what is that? It says the Unity Mutual Life Insurance Company of New York. This is a life insurance policy. It says 20 payment life. This is a life insurance policy that my grandmother, his mother, purchased for him when he was 20 years old. This policy was purchased by my grandmother on October 7th, 1957. She was paying a yearly premium of $60.22, and she had to pay that $60.22 for 20 years. So if you do the math, she paid about $1,204.40 for this life insurance policy on my father. Okay, so that's 65 years ago. So let's fast forward. It is now February, Black History Month, 65 years later, 2022. I went in and I did an illustration on a young man, same age as my father, maybe about 17 or 18. My grandmother at $60.22, she was paying $5.01 a month for her monthly premium, but she paid it on a yearly basis. I did that same calculation on a policy for a gentleman in around the same age. That policy premium was $4.37. Is there something wrong with that picture? My grandmother was paying $5.01. Today, I can get a policy at $4.37. What's really troubling is that that policy that I could get for $4.37 is on $5,000 worth of life insurance. My grandmother was paying $5.01 and she got $2,000 worth of life insurance. Now, I didn't tell you that story because I wanted you to see that back then, rates were different for Blacks as they were for whites. Blacks were charged more for their coverage and got less benefits. But I'm not telling you this story to talk about the disparaging differences about how Black people were treated differently because they were in the days of segregation and civil rights. I'm telling you this story because my grandmother had the presence of mind to buy a life insurance policy on her child, on her children, on herself. How many of you out there have life insurance policies on your children? Especially if they're under 18, you have control over the policy. You can pull the money in and out when you want. The policy premiums are a lot less when the person is younger. I would venture to say, and I'm just taking a guess, that most people don't have a life insurance policy. They just don't have it. Their parents may not have one. Their grandparents may not have one. I mean, we live in South Florida. You could be sitting on your porch in your rocking chair, riding back and forth, and what happens? A bullet comes through the window and strikes somebody. You don't have a policy. How many times do we hear about, oh, Uncle Jimmy died, Aunt Betty died, we got to get a GoFundMe account? We got to stop that. We got to stop that foolishness. We got to look at life insurance as an investment and not as an expense. You know, there's one thing about the Florida prepaid college program that I do like, just one thing, and that is you can put into that program and freeze the tuition price for your child today. And if they're going to school 5, 10, 15 years later, they're paying today's prices for tuition. But that's the only thing I like about it. Because I'm gonna tell you, what guarantee do you have? Because kids today are telling their parents what they're gonna do and what they're not going to do. Now, I don't understand that concept. My mother looked at me and said things differently, and I did what she said. She gave me 2 rules growing up. I heard Lakeisha's grandfather gave her a rule. Well, these were my mother's 2 rules, and she ingrained them in my brain. Before marriage, there will be no abortions and there will be no babies. Okay, that's out. So for me, there was no room for error. And the second thing she said, you're going to college. I don't know what college you're going to, but you're going to get up out of here and you're going to get a degree. Okay, so these are the things that we have to look at. Life insurance can help you save for a college education, because if your child decides they don't want to go to college and you don't use that money for the exact expenses that the government says you have to use them for, what happens? You're taxed on that money. You're given a penalty on that money. We have got to get away from the taxes. You can start throwing money in life insurance policies and using it as a bank. Okay, I don't have to tell you how many people getting 8% interest at the bank. Nobody. Those days are long gone. And you used to put as much money as you wanted to in the bank because you wanted to save. Use your life insurance as your new bank account. Put the money there. People at Christmas time, grandparents, aunts, uncles, you want to give gifts to your nieces and your nephews. Don't buy them some toy that's going to be ancient and obsolete in 6 months. Invest in a life insurance policy for them. It's the gift that keeps on giving. When they're young, they can use it when they get older to either buy that car when they want to go to college, or help with a down payment after they get married for a house. Think of it as an investment tool where you make all of your money tax-free. And for those of us who are getting closer to retirement or who are already in retirement, let's use it as a tax-free vehicle to take large amounts of taxable income and put it in a life insurance policy so it can grow tax-free. Make it part of your retirement savings plan. You heard Lakeisha talk about buy the house, refinance, take that money out, you can have it grow. And let me tell you, life insurance policies can make 8, 9, 10% in growth. May not make it every year because life insurance companies have more money than banks. Life insurance is based on the stock market. And I'm talking about permanent policies. I'm not talking about term. There's no cash value in term policies. I'm talking about certain permanent life policies. So when the stock market goes up 25%, your policy will get maybe about a 15%, 10% gain. But when the stock market goes down, like it did today, like it's been going on for the last couple of days because of something that's going on all the way across on the other side of the world that we don't really have anything to do with, but is it impacting our finances? And that's what's going on with Russia. But when the stock market, like I said, goes below or it loses money in your life insurance policy, you don't lose what you put in and you don't lose what you've made. You bottom out, you level out at zero, okay? You never lose. What kind, do you get that kind of guarantee in the stock market? You certainly do not whatsoever. So now I want to switch gears and I want to give you another benefit of having a life insurance policy. So let me ask you a question. Say that you or maybe a loved one is in a horrible car accident, or you slip and fall and you hurt your head and your motor skills, you can't feed yourself, you can't bathe yourself, you can't clothe yourself, or you're in that car accident and you're paralyzed from the waist down. Once you go into the hospital and they sew you up and clean up your wounds, you're on your own. What are you going to do with that family member who maybe is the major breadwinner for the family and they can't walk anymore? Who's going to pay for their care? How are you going to do that? Use your life insurance policy to do that. 65 years ago, when my grandmother got that policy, there was nothing called living benefits. Living benefits came about, I don't know, somewhere about maybe 10 years ago. What does that mean? That means if you have a critical injury, you have a critical illness, you have a chronic illness, you can convert that policy to a long-term care policy. Right now, it is going to take my father about $7,000-8,000 a month to be in a facility, assisted living. He didn't plan properly. So now what does Cassandra have to do? She has to sit here and she's got to fill out huge applications for Medicaid. You don't want to get involved in that. You don't want to leave that burden on your children or your children's children. You need to plan properly for your future. We all are going to get old one day. And who's going to take care of us? And some of us don't have children. And let me just say, because you do have children, there is no guarantee that they're going to take care of you either. So you need to start working on getting yourself a life insurance policy, permanent life insurance, where you can add money to it. Now, how much can you add? Well, that's up to you. And you really have to work with the United States tax code because there is a limit. But those limits can be huge. They certainly outweigh a Roth IRA, because I know that you have a certain, maybe, I don't know, it's like 6,500, but some life insurance policies I've seen where people can do an additional 10, 12,000 a month extra, and it's still legitimately legal. So again, for critical illness, critical injury, chronic illness, you can use your life insurance policy for long-term care. Let's flip the script one last time. We talk about building wealth. I want to let you know there's some people that use their life insurance policies and they did build wealth. This one gentleman, he went to the bank and he couldn't get a loan because he wanted to start this amusement park and people told him, oh, it's going to fail after a year. Are you kidding me? So he decided to do his own financing. And I'm talking about Walt Disney. A large part of that he borrowed from his cash value in his life insurance policy, and Disney World opened in 1955 to more than 3.5 million visitors because he had a policy. There's another gentleman out there that you all know very well. He, for the first years in business, for the first 8 years of his business, he didn't take a salary because he was just trying to always overcome constant cash flow problems. So he borrowed money from 2 cash value life insurance policies and then also his bank to help cover the salaries of key employees. And he used some of that money to create an advertising campaign for his emerging mascot, Ronald McDonald. Yes, I'm talking about Ray Kroc. He used life insurance to save his business. There was a woman in 1980. Her name was Doris Christopher, and she borrowed $3,000 from her life insurance policy to buy inventory. And she started her own company. And she did so well that by 2002, her company was worth $700 million. The company is called the Pampered Chef, and it was acquired by Berkshire Hathaway Corporation. And we all know who owns Berkshire Hathaway Corporation. It's Warren Buffett. And he purchased her company for $1.5 billion, Pampered Chef. Now, the last company I want to let you know about is they suffered a serious blow in 1929 with the stock market and the Great Depression. And that person, his personal wealth was devastated, and he suffered physical and mental harm on his health. He borrowed against the cash value life insurance in his policy to help his store, J.C. Penney, meet its bankroll, his payroll, and day-to-day operations. James Cash Penney was the owner and creator of J.C. Penney. And he was able to use that cash value to help pay his employees to keep the store afloat. Unfortunately, because of COVID, a lot of stores have taken a hit. So J.C. Penney succumbed to the lack of traffic in malls, and because of so many online companies just taking over. But just think that man had 1,000 stores and did very well, but he used his life insurance to keep it going. So what did all these companies have in common? They were just everyday people, and they had a dream, and they used their policy to fulfill their dreams. So in closing, I just want to say, look at life insurance. What can it provide you? You don't know what you don't know. It can provide you benefits while you're living. You need to get yourself a permanent life insurance policy so you can get the tax-free income benefit. You don't have to wait. And one thing that, like I said, it covers your critical illness, your critical injury, and your chronic illness. There's a death benefit, which is that tax-free windfall to your family. Some people don't care about that. I have customers that tell me, I don't care. I'm living for today. I'm not leaving a whole lot of money to my family. But I tell you what, there are some families in this country, as soon as a child is born, they get a policy. Rockefeller, does that name sound familiar? Any child born in that family gets a policy immediately, because they can use that policy and create wealth for themselves and be multimillionaires in 40 years. It sounds like a long time, but it's really not a lot of time. The probate factor is removed with life insurance. You don't have to worry about that. You have to worry about that with a Roth, but you get your money right away. You don't have to wait on probate. You can use that money in a policy for just about anything you want. Use life insurance as your private bank. Borrow money with few restrictions. Pay 30 years. There are policies where you can pay 30 years on that policy. You're still living, and guess what? You can get all your premium money back. That's a nice little check for 30 years. It's tax-free income. You don't know what you don't know, folks. And again, I know some of the speakers, they have given you information on how to reach them. You can go to bit.ly, bit.ly/money4me2022. You can fill that out, and we can make sure that you definitely get to see, or you're able to be in touch with those speakers. Again, the link is right there at the bottom of the screen. And I thank you so much. And I've enjoyed sharing this information with you. Okay.
Thank you so much as well, Sir Joseph. Look, you were going to get back to that beneficiary question. So I do want you to ask if people could be their own beneficiary.
Absolutely. Look at the lady with the 39 life insurance policy. She's her own beneficiary. She can pull that money in and out and pay herself and do what she wants and buys real estate with it. Absolutely, you can. But you never thought about it like that. Black folks always think about life insurance as part of death. Oh, you're trying to kill me. You want to get a policy so you can kill me. Now, you can't get a policy on anybody. You have to have an insurable interest, like a family member or whatever. But we definitely should be covering our children and our grandchildren and our parents. They need a policy.
Okay. You know, I said at the very top that this is all about educating you, empowering us, and getting you to engage. When it comes to life insurance, sometimes people shut down immediately and don't really understand that this is not your grandma's life insurance. It is a whole different arena, and particularly when you talk about building wealth. So we never thought about it in that way, but that's why we're doing exactly what we're doing now, so that we can get that information out there. You know, I'll just say this to you all. I don't even call it life insurance anymore. I call it love insurance. It's because it is the ultimate gift of love, really. So thank you so much, Soror Joseph, for your information. I do want to go back. I don't think I have another question in the chat, but there is one in particular I do. Rodney, Sydney, you're still here with us, right? I hope so. I would like to at least, this was a question that I hope you'll be able to handle really quickly. And this came from one of our sorors. Is buying synonymous to investing? Back at the Bitcoin cryptocurrency thing, any minimal increments for initial purchase? And they didn't feel like you answered the cashing out question.
Okay. It's so hard to cover a lot of dynamics
I
here.
know.
And I felt like I was rushing because I was trying to tell you so much. And I didn't have slides to present any information, unfortunately.
No problem.
Maybe we'll get together and do it again when I can really do some extensive, really overview. And mind you, you can call me. I work with any of you all that need some help or really want questions. You call my number, I'll be happy. Just mention this event and I'll be more than happy to help you. Cashing out, yes, every day. On average, I cash out about, I shouldn't probably say this on screen, but I cash out every other day, okay? I have a daughter in college. I'm trying to make sure that she doesn't have to be saddled with debt going through her college experience at Case Western University, trying to get her down here to Georgia. But anyway, yes, cashing out is not a hard thing, but the real question is it a taxable event? Most people want to wonder about that. When you start taking the actual cryptocurrency and exchanging it to fiat, it has not been established right now in Congress whether or not crypto is property. I want to get back to that. I'm not a tax expert, mind you, but is it property or is it a currency? Now, if it's property, there will be a capital gain tax, okay? There's a potential for that. It's not written in stone yet. We're still in that gray area. This is where the opportunity lies. It might be years before they resolve this. Incidentally, Arizona just made, the state of Arizona just made cryptocurrency officially a currency. If 12 other states actually say that, it'll be ratified as being such, and then it won't be taxed as a capital gain, okay? So the time that I've been, go ahead, I'm sorry. All right.
No. I know we're on the tight end of getting this done. So bottom line is you can cash out. It is easy to cash out. And then lastly, is investing the same as buying? When you say buying Bitcoin, is that the same as investing? Is that the same word?
Yes. And mind you, right now is an opportune time to buy cryptocurrency.
Okay.
But yes, it is a form of investment.
Okay. So
Vicki, the one thing I wanted Sydney to tell people very quickly, why did Bitcoin start? What happened to make in 2008? What happened to get this whole thing going with crypto?
Okay, that's a really good question. What happened was, and this is really historical, everybody knows this about the pizza guy who went and bought pizza for like 3,000 or 30,000 Bitcoins. He bought 2 big pizzas. This started this whole concept. Well, let's go back. In 2007, when our government and most of the world was in collapse, the real estate market bubbled, it burst. The banks became almost insolvent. It had been come from all the bailouts that came out during that time under Bush and Obama to save the banks. Why save the banks? Why save our financial institution? Because everything rocks on it, but also because they have major political clout where you don't have that. They never gave any of the American people anything. And then at that time, there was this anonymous person or group called Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, I think he's Black, that's just my opinion, but he came up with this white paper on a concept of digitalizing money and using this concept called Bitcoin. And then after that, there were so many of these great mental mind thinkers and math said, this might work, why don't we try it? And they implemented this strategy. And that was in 2008. And by the time I got involved in 2017, Bitcoin had started gaining in value. There were people that bought Bitcoin when it was $1. God bless them. they're multi-millionaires today. Okay, I didn't catch that in, but I would also say this to you all. You're not too late. We're still in the beginning. Think about this. If the Bitcoin right now is at 34,000 and it's projected to go to 100,000 this year, if you bought one coin and it goes to 100,000, that's almost 3 times the amount. Did you do good? Of course you did. If you bought $50 worth, did you do good when it triples in value? Of course you did. Yes, it is a very sound investment. And again, it is where the world going. One more thing, let me say real quick. It is the most sought after financial instrument in the world, above gold, silver, real estate, anything out there.
No doubt about that. You all see Sid's phone number on the screen right now. I also want to ask that you all share your feedback on tonight's session. The link is there in the chat as well. Lakeisha Gaines, her information is there as well. As I said, you know, we aren't looking per se to sell anything, but we wanted to give you information, and we wanted to have the people who could give that to you in the most concise and friendly way. This was intended to be a conversation, and this has been awesome to hear you all share us in this way. I believe that we have our SOAR president here, so I will not end without letting her say hello. Sorry, Richardson.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for the Financial Empowerment Summit. I'm Dr. Shawanda Richardson, and I'm the president of the South Broward Alumnae chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Wasn't this an amazing event? I'm just blown away with what I've learned this evening. Ms. Lakeisha Gaines told us, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. I had to write that down, ask somebody, tell me that tag again, because that is, I have some real estate and that just lets me know I need to sit on it. And Mr. Lloyd told us that 800 new millionaires are created a day in crypto with cryptocurrency. So why not us? We need to figure out how to do it, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, Ms. Cassandra Joseph, one of our very own South Broward past presidents, taught us how to use life insurance as an investment and a tax write-off. And more importantly, I learned that I can be my own beneficiary. So I got to talk to Cassandra a little more about that. But ladies and gentlemen, what great information we got tonight to help empower our community and to help us build wealth. I am so proud of what South Broward started here tonight. And yes, I said we started because we plan to continue this conversation about financial wealth and empowerment. And I just want to thank my Economic Development Committee, Ms. Vicki Frazier-Williams as the chair, Ms. Norma English, Ms. Curleen Jules as the assistant chairs. I want to just thank you for putting this together and for what you're doing for our community. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we talked about that you don't know what you don't know, but I submit to you that now you know what you don't know. And we ask that you continue to join us so that by the time we see you the next time, you'll get to that point where you know what you know. I am going to turn this back over to Ms. Vicki Frazier-Williams. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you, committee, for a great event. And until next time, you all have a great evening.
Sir, President, thank you so much. He is always wonderful. You know, the one thing I want to say to you all, we're finishing up just a little bit. If there are any questions that I need to take before I let these folks go, y'all let me know. But you know what? We've made some references almost all night to a couple of things, one of which is about, counsel. I think it's important that we understand not just that we don't know what we don't know, but that the Bible tells us to seek counsel, seek good counsel. And I think a lot of times what happens is we're afraid. We're afraid to call and ask somebody for fear perhaps that it's going to cost us something. Well, I will tell you that the vast majority of us will talk to you. These people on this Zoom will talk to you and give you answers that you may be looking for. So the point is, we have not because we ask not. And so we have to ask the questions. You don't understand Bitcoin, and we just skimmed the surface tonight. You don't understand that. Sid is there, and do your research. It's okay. This is, as our president says, this is our first. It will not be our last. And so I want to, again, thank everybody for what you've done. I'm going to check one last time in the Q&A. I might be putting myself up.
President Williams,
Sure.
may I please thank the info and tech team as well? I never
Yes.
want to forget them because we could not do this without them. So I want to say a special thank you to our tech team. You all were talking to me before and I was like, I don't see my mute button. I can't come off mute. And they in the background, they actually text me and got me on. So I just want to say thank you to them as well. Okay.
And I'm right behind you. Thank you as well. You know, we have such we feel like almost a security blanket when those folk, info and tech are there. We know that we can try to be the best that we can, but they've got our back. So thank you all so very, very much. I am going to again end by thanking each of you personally. Sarah Lakeisha Gaines, Sid Lloyd, and Sarah Cassandra Joseph. Thank you all so much for sharing with us, and thank all of you for joining us tonight. Good night.